Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all had a great Tuesday. Hope you all are having a great week. If you haven't tuned in so far this week, there's a lot to talk about, and a lot's going to be going on over the next, 24 hours or so, as a big-time storm system is going to be riding over the Rockies and doing so overnight into tomorrow morning and promoting a big-time strong wind event. High wind warnings are in effect for a large area across the central U.S. You also have fire dangers going on because of the strong winds mixed with a lot of dry air, really dry, really low relative humidity. So we're going to break that down. That's going to be something that we don't talk about much, but I think it's actually a big risk as wildfires can get kicked up when you have such strong winds and you already have really dry conditions. So that's going to be kind of the story that nobody talks about much that I'll mention a little bit in this video. Stretching from the Panhandle of Texas all the way through the Midwest, upper Midwest, into Canada. So we'll briefly talk about that, but there is a severe weather event that's going to be going on really for Iowa and southern sections of Minnesota, but there is just a potent little storm that's going to be blitzing across the upper Midwest to upper Midwest. It's going to provide some winter weather and then a several hour period of some intense severe weather. So we're going to break that down for you guys. We're also going to talk about the pattern for next week for Christmas. We're not going to get super detailed about that. Most of the details are going to go to this storm in the upper Midwest, and I know I don't have a lot of people that follow along in that area, but I want to make sure we talk about these severe weather events after what's happened over the weekend. It's very unfortunate what happened. A lot of lives are lost. They're still pulling people out of the rubble. So we need to mention these severe weather events, and I think this is going to be a fast-moving, going to catch a lot of people by surprise with this big-time strong wind threat and isolated tornado threat. So we're going to break that down in this video. Like I said, if you want to know really what's just going on next week, I'll briefly touch on that towards the end of the video. We're going to give you the latest model information. If you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like it. Your support goes a long ways, and it's really appreciated. There's a way to join my channel if you guys ever consider doing that. It's just a way to give financially monthly to what I do to try to improve my setup for the future, to try to continue to upgrade my stuff and make my setup more appealing. Anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments. Appreciate all the well wishes y'all been giving me. I haven't been feeling myself for the last couple days, but I'm definitely trying to shake it off. Just, everybody goes through it. Even when life's going good, you just go through the holiday blues a little bit, and I've definitely been letting it get to me a little bit over the last couple days, but everything's fine. But let's get rolling. Let's talk about the weather because we got a mouthful to talk about here, so stick with me here. So right now for tomorrow, you have a marginal risk stretching from Tulsa to Minneapolis, but I'm telling you, the main threat of the big-time weather is going to be here in Iowa and maybe a small section early on in Nebraska, far eastern areas of Nebraska, and Minnesota and portions of Wisconsin later in the night. The tornado threat is not very, very high, but you still got a 5% chance. And I'm telling you what, if any tornadic storms forms, the tornado is going to drop down. And it's going to be moving very quickly. It's a lot of open area out there based off what I know and the obvious terrain out there. So you're going to see these storms, you're going to see them coming. You're going to see a nasty cloud coming. And if you live anywhere in Iowa and southern Minnesota, the wind threat, 15% chance of wind damage due to these storms and 25 miles in any given location. Hail threat's going to pretty much be non-existent due to the lack of thermodynamics in place for the severe weather event. You're not going to really have any isolated supercells that drop big-time hail or anything like that. You look at the fire weather outlook. I don't talk about this much at all, but you have a large area of extreme from far northern areas of the Panhandle of Texas all the way into the Panhandle of Oklahoma, and then a large section of Kansas. This is due to this potent low pressure. It's going to be creating very tight isobars, which a very tight gradient, which I'm going to show you here in the GFS in a minute. You see these lines that are very close together, and that means it's very tight gradients, which means you have a higher chance for these stronger winds in the upper atmosphere really to mix to the surface. You combine that with what's already extremely dry conditions right here in place, and it becomes a big-time wildfire risk. So, even though there's probably not large areas of forest right in this area, it's wide open. These prairies, these fields can catch fire and spread very quick. When I tell you the winds are going to be whipping all the way from the Rockies on the Front Range of the Rockies all the way through Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I mean it. You even got wind advisories on the southern end here in Missouri and Illinois. This is a big deal. It's a thing that a lot of people aren't talking about. The strong winds, even outside of people, it's non-thunderstorm winds. These are just winds just due to this very deepening short wave, low pressure, whatever you want to call it, that's shooting across. It's just going to be going very quickly, and the gradients are very tight around it here. And you look at the watches and warnings. In this brown color right here, it almost looks like throw up. Those are high wind warnings. And the areas you see in the darker browns, which kind of confuses me, I would actually think the darker browns would be the high wind warnings. But the darker browns are wind advisories. You got this small area. This is winter weather advisories. The reason you're not seeing really any blizzard warnings is because the snow is not going to be falling very long. This is a very quick moving system. The criteria for a blizzard warning is not going to be met with this, but very, very interesting system that with this potent low-level jet that's going to be shooting through here. You look at the GFS, I'll show you what I mean here. Here comes this system dropping out the Rockies. Finally gets out of the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, and here it comes. This is 6 hours. This thing moves from here to here in 6 hours. That's very quick, and it's going to be kind of hard to see on the screen. But you see these. I almost pointed to the screen like y'all could see my finger. You see these lines right here as the isobars. So when they're really tight, it's a really tight gradient. So it allows very strong winds to mix all the way to the surface. So not only do you have, which I'm about to show, very fast winds just aloft, 3,000-4,000 feet, 5,000 feet in the air, and in the mid levels, which is much higher than the low levels, obviously. They're mixing to the surface, so you have winds just going to be scooting across these areas where you have these high wind warnings of 60, 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts, and not even associated with thunderstorms. Now, some will be, obviously, in Iowa, but this moves through. I wouldn't be surprised if you have reports somewhere in Minnesota of thunder snow somewhere in Minnesota. I don't think really Minneapolis is going to get into much of the snow. You're kind of this thing's actually just this actual low pressure is going to move very close to right over you guys. But whatever y'all see, I think it's going to be more of the rain. But just a potent low pressure here. Really, we still got a lot to discuss. So let's go on and speed this up here. What's going on here is you got this 850 low level jet that's going to be just jetting across, and here it is. These are the low levels. These aren't the surface winds, but you have a 60, 70, 80 knot low level jet. Faster, it gets cranking up even more over Iowa. It starts to move over areas of Illinois, Wisconsin, and then you got low level jets shooting around 80 to 90 knots here, even 100 knots maybe in some cases. This is a very potent low level jet. This has a lot of wind energy. To kind of small it down for folks, if you're trying to figure out what I'm saying, this system has a ton of wind energy with it. It's just a quick moving system, which is a good thing. As far as the 500 millibar wind speeds, that is higher up in the atmosphere. You have right into here wind knots, wind knots. You have basically 110 knot jet, 50 millibar jet here, mid-level jet shooting across. So the winds are going even faster, higher up in the atmosphere. Just a ton of wind energy, and you notice around low pressure, the winds are more calmer. It's almost kind of like a hurricane, right? Right around the low pressure, the winds are more calm. Not calling this a land hurricane or anything, but a more broader look at the winds here as this system moves out. These are actual wind gusts. These are miles per hour, so it's a little bit easier to read. But here it goes. This system gets cranking over the Midwest, South Central U.S. You're getting into around the 3 to 4 p.m. range here across Kansas, Nebraska. You have wind gusts over 60, 70 mile per hour for a few hours here. This continues to move through, and then these winds here in Nebraska, 60 to 70 miles per hour. Watch out, Omaha. Big time winds going to be working in tomorrow afternoon, evening. And then this area of wind right here is associated with the storms, which I'm about to show you. And then you got this area behind it that cranks up as this low pressure moves north. And you have these tight wind gradients these tight gradients here that moves over these areas of Kansas, South Dakota, and Iowa into Minnesota, and just a ton of wind energy. We'll get a little closer look here. This fire danger, the fire risk here, is because you get into Wednesday, the front moves through, and then the dry air kicks in, but the wind speeds kick up. So you have this low relative humidity right here of, 5, 10, 15%, 20% relative humidity. So very dry conditions mixed with strong winds and what's already kind of dry conditions out here. And you have a big time risk of fire going on out here. So do not light any lighters. Any kind of wildfires will get cranked up because of this. This is very interesting to watch here as we get in a closer look at the severe aspect of the storm. Watch this brief warm sector that shoots up all the way to almost Minneapolis and to Minneapolis. I mean, you got temperatures that surge into the 70s into Iowa. So any snow that's still lingering in that area, I don't know if any is, it melts. You got temperatures here in Kansas almost reaching 80 degrees into the mid 70s, and then these storms sweep through and the temperatures plummet overnight as this pretty much Arctic air moves through overnight and bitterly cold conditions. So I'm talking about areas in Minneapolis, for example, could almost hit 60 degrees tomorrow, and then by the time you wake up in the morning, it could be in the teens. So an impressive shot of cold air moves in behind this too. So you look at the precipitation as far as what's going on with this, and here's the snow that gets going. Here comes this low pressure that gets cranked up, and then this line of storms erupts as you get into the afternoon, evening hours, right around, probably western to central Iowa, moves through Des Moines. Nasty storms. You got to watch right into here, north of Des Moines, and even around Des Moines, here in Fort Dodge near Waterloo, Mason City. We'll get a little bit closer here in a second. These could have little kinks in them and can produce quick spin-ups and quick tornadoes. This continues to move through. Loses energy down here in Missouri, so the severe weather threat is low, but this could still promote a nasty line of storms even into Illinois. And then this thing moves into Canada and just keeps on trucking here as it rides the jet stream. Get a little bit, let's check out the significant tornado parameter. You see nothing, right? And then it spikes right ahead this line. You got values of 2 to 3 in the STP range, spikes to around 5 in certain areas. And that's right where that kinky line of storms is. Y'all laugh, but just kinks in the storm, in the line of storms. In central to northern parts of Iowa, near the southern border of or the southern sections of Minnesota. Not trying to ignore Minnesota. Minnesota's southern sections, well south of Minneapolis, have a tornado threat also. These are going to be very quick moving. You get a little bit closer look at what's going on here. And here comes these line of storms right here. They erupt around, probably around, let's say, 5, 6 p.m. y'all's time out here. They move through. They continue to develop, and right here, this is what I want to watch out for. You folks in northern Iowa, especially since north central Iowa into northeast Iowa and then southern areas in Minneapolis. This is going to be a period where y'all could see a brief chance of a tornado, and a very fast moving tornado. And the sun's going to be down. It's going to be technically still a nocturnal event. You look at the wind gusts, a closer look at Iowa specifically, and here it comes. Even before the storms come through, you have potential wind gusts in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range. And then here comes this first area of storms. Even if there isn't a tornado threat with these storms, you have 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts with this. And then you think it's over and the storms are done. But as that storm system, the low pressure, moves overhead to your north, the gradients are still very tight. So you still got some area of extremely strong winds to move through the state. So, 60, 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts occasionally. And then it's just windy all night. So, winds are going to be howling across the north, the northern Midwest for sure, guys. So you're going to be hearing them all night tomorrow night for sure. So let's briefly talk about, we'll give you the latest information as far as the storm system. potential this weekend into this week until Christmas week for the Eastern U.S. So overnight, the models went crazy. Even the European bid on it for one run, but the models went a little wild with showing you big time winter storm for areas like even the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, around early next week. Well, all today they kind of basically downtrended it and basically have trended the storm system south. But there is a storm system, and not to say we need to still watch that storm system because it's there. It's just suppressed south. It could trend back north. It's just the two areas of energy. It's pretty clear as day on the northern stream and the southern stream are completely separated on the models. Therefore, you don't get any interaction. Therefore, you don't really get a big time storm system. But looking into this weekend, there's going to be a storm system right here. And the latest GFS has trended warmer with it, which means it's trending more north with the low pressure, and keeps places like, one big city up there, Boston, into mainly rain into Saturday and a Sunday. But you look at the latest GFS, and we'll look at the storm as a whole. You look at the GFS, and it is very snowy for areas in southern New England and Connecticut and Boston. So trying to figure out what's going to happen with that is a big question mark. This is the storm right here that was showing big time for areas of the Northeast this morning. You take it all the way into the run at OOZ, which was overnight last night, and this was showing a major winter storm for areas of the Northeast. Now it's not. It's trended much further south, so we'll continue to watch that storm system because it's there. It's just not where you want to be if you want snow. But if you're around southern New England, you're hoping for a nice snow event just before Christmas, you're pulling for the European because it would be a really nice snow for areas like Boston. New York City, you need work. You're dealing with a lot of rain. But what this system would do would, if you look at the Euro and you take it as if it's going to happen, that'd give you half a foot of snow for a lot of folks in southern New England. So we'll get more detail about this storm system tomorrow, and we'll start to break down what's going to happen Christmas week. But that's all I got, guys. I know it was a longer video, but hope you all stay safe out there in the Midwest and northern northern areas of the Midwest. I guess I can't talk today. I guess I'm geographically challenged, but y'all know what I mean. Y'all stay safe out there because we can't disregard any severe weather event, and especially after seeing what happened over the weekend. So y'all stay safe out there. God bless, and appreciate all y'all. Have a good night.